welcome to the year of 1995. A year that had one of the most exciting and dramatic seasons ever in world motorsport history. And unbelievably, as of the year of 2025, marks the 30th anniversary of this particular season in one prestigious motorsport and Grand Prix racing championship. Now, many years later, as I have just said, you might remember that following one of the most controversial ends and quite dramatic ends to the year before in 1994, when both Benetton's Michael Schumacher and Williams's, that being Damon Hill, they both collided with each other in the final round of the championship, and that being at Adelaide, Australia. And that after controversial with coming together, with both taking each other out, and both with, once again, Michael Schumacher going out off the track, hitting a tyre barrier, and Damon Hill then eventually retiring due to engine failure. That led to a controversial end, but Michael Schumacher for Germany managed to win his first inaugural FIA Formula 1 World Drivers' title in quite the controversial way, as I just said. But now another year has passed, and let's see if Michael Schumacher can do exactly that, but do it a little bit more fairly this time, as the Hill and Schumacher rivalry continues. And all thanks to also a video game of the same name, it's time to reimagine this particular season that followed the year of 1994, and once again the year of 1995, as welcome to the pre-season preview episode of Grand Prix Formula 1. Original game published by Psygnosis. An original game developed by Bizarre Creations. The year is 1995. One of the most exciting and dramatic seasons in all motorsport history. Now, 30 years later, as of the year of 2025, it's time to relive the experience of the glamour and excitement of the full 1995 season, as 35 drivers from 13 different teams all compete in 17 circuits around the world in 17 rounds of the official championship, in an attempt to win the most coveted title in modern motor racing history. That being 1995 Formula 1 World Drivers' Champion. The past of Formula 1 Grand Prix racing finally meets the present. Series based on the Sony PlayStation and computer video game of the same name. Original game based on the official 1995 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Grand Prix Formula 1. And a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching now on YouTube. My name is Jack Wright, also known as Jackpot Button Lewis on YouTube. And once again, welcome to the pre-season preview episode, and also the start of a brand new and quite exciting project series, all exclusively live here on YouTube and through both my sports production company of Jackpot Button Lewis Sport Productions. And that being once again titled Grand Prix Formula 1. But of course, as you can see, our logo only just features the Formula 1 part of it, and unbelievably it happens to be a loading screen from the official game itself of the same name, which unbelievably, if you did actually see our season overview video, we also still have it here, and it's amazing that I still have this particular game in my hands right now. And it's quite remarkable to know that as of next year in 1996, we'll make that the year when it was made initially, but in the year of 2026, in real life, will mark its 30th anniversary since this game came out. But as we continue in the year of 1995 in the world of Jackpot Button Lewis Sport Productions, that particular universe, we of course are here to preview what you would expect to see in the next few weeks, and as we cover on this particular series in a very exciting reimagining of, once again, the official 1995 FIA Formula 1 World Championship, where over 35 drivers from 13 different teams all compete and race against each other in 17 circuits, and make that also including rounds of the official championship, all to hopefully walk away with the prestigious and most, of course, special title and coveted title, may I add, in all of modern British, not just British, but also World Grand Prix racing itself, of that being the FIA Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship champion. And after, as we just said earlier on, after a controversial end to last year's 1994 season, where both the very close rivalry between Germany's Michael Schumacher driving for Benetton and Britain's Damon Hill for the British team Williams, but of course both teams are based here in the UK, more specifically, they had one hell of a titanic battle between each other, and it went down to the final race at the Adelaide Street Circuit over a year ago, where unfortunately there was a controversial end to that particular championship. But also as well, also to highlight that also, and sadly and tragically, we lost another legendary face of the world of the sport itself, and that being Ayrton Senna, and also make that also Roland Ratzenberger, who tragically both were killed during the San Marino Grand Prix at and the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari circuit. And since, of course, those unfortunate deaths to two unbelievably, incredibly skillful drivers, the safety measures in the sport have been radically changed. And I know that, of course, from later on in the program, we have actually been told that one particular race is going to have a radical change of the circuit, including Imola itself. And we'll also have a look at all the drivers and teams that will be competing against each other throughout the next few months of this year. But it's wonderful to bring this brand new series to you. This is the first time here on Jackpot Button Lewis Sport Productions that we've ever had attempt to do a series on this grander scale than anything else beforehand. But we'd also like to give a huge shout out by one particular YouTube creator, that being Trevor Sports, who also through his inspiration of his incredible work of also working on things through, of course, the particular era of the 90s, which is an era that I did grow up in, and even though that I was only a year old at the time of the original series or original season in the sport itself, to revisit it, but just give it a retro feel is amazing to do that, and that's what we're hoping to do for the next few months of this series. Especially, we of course, even though that in the real life universe, the late Murray Walker, who will be here for race commentary, but he's no longer with us as of this a few years ago, as of recently, and that's what who he sadly passed away at the I think it was the age of 97 to my knowledge. But as well as that, we also will be providing all the live extended coverage, and we will be following this particular season as accurately as possible with 100% race distance, along with of course tyre wear and fuel depletion, and also real-life weather conditions to reflect the real-life races of this particular season from over 30 years ago from now. But with also that being said, let's have a look and give you a rundown of all of the official circuits and also rounds of this year's championship. And also, once again, let's find out who will be driving, and also for particular of the 13 teams, as we have 35 drivers for, once again, this reimagined 1995 Formula 1 season. Here's the official rundown of 35 drivers from 13 teams that are all taking part in this reimagining of the 1995 F1 season. Starting off with the runners-up from last year's Constructors' Championship of Benetton Renault. Their car, named the Benetton B195, has a Renault RS07 engine with a V10 cylinders, 40 valves and 3,000 cc cubic capacity. With the drivers of last year's champion and the current drivers' champion, Germany's Michael Schumacher, and being replaced after a few races with Lotus last season, and just getting the tail end of last season driving for the team, is British driver Johnny Herbert. We now move to Williams Renault, and the reigning Constructors' Champions from last year, with their also have the same engine as the team of Benetton, and as well as having the same engine supplier as Benetton, their Williams FW17 looks like it could be another strong contender facing the Benetton team for later on in this season. The runner-up in the championship, Britain's Damon Hill, is teamed up by other fellow British driver from Scotland of David Coulthard. Next up are the Ferraris, and being the only team with a V12 engine, the 412 T2 is hoping to have a better result from last year, with the teammates of Jean Alesi of France, and even though he finished third in the championship from last year, Gerhard Berger remains at the team as second driver. Now we move to McLaren Mercedes, and even though that they've had a recent form has not been the best for the British team once again, from Woking, they have had expecting to get better results from their MP4 1210. With a Mercedes FO110 engine and once again 3,000 cubic centimetres capacity, they're hoping to have a better result after finishing fourth in the Constructors' Championship from last year. The driver lineup has also been changed, with also after the recent retirement of Nigel Mansell from last year, he has now been mentioned to now get a seat as a substitute driver, but as of hearing recently, he may not have the chance to race as much as he would want to for this season due to unfitness and possibly not struggling to handle driving the car whilst being a lot more tighter in the cockpit. But with that being said, the other drivers of Mark Blundell, who raced for Tyrrell last year, is teaming up with Finnish driver Mika Hakkinen. And also we have the brand new Danish driver of Jan Magnussen to rounding up the team as the four drivers lineup as the first team to have, once again, a four-driver lineup. Next is Ligier Mugen Honda, with their JS40 and with Mugen power from last year, they're hoping for a better result, and with the recent driver change, after losing his seat driving for McLaren last season, this time British driver Martin Brundle has now been moved as first driver, but will not be racing as often as he would like to also later on in the season. He's partnered up with French driver Olivier Panis and Japanese driver Aguri Suzuki, who will make his debut in the first few rounds of this year's championship. Next up is Jordan Mugen Honda and the Jordan 195 as being one of the main cars that has also been part of huge promotion in this series. But once again, after a near miss and a possible near fatal accident, Rubens Barrichello keeps his seat as the Brazilian driver, who's also partnered up with Northern Irish driver Eddie Irvine. Also, if some of you have not noticed, the driver helmet that he currently has at the moment in his driving and in his career in Formula One is to also pay respects and a late tribute to his fellow Brazilian racing driver he raced with last season of Ayrton Senna. Next up is Sauber Ford with their car of the C14 with a Ford Cosworth Zetec R engine power. With over 2,994 cubic centimetres in capacity, and Jean-Christophe Bouillon, after a recent performance, has also been given a chance to be one of the substitute drivers, who's racing along Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who raced last season, along with Austrian driver Karl Wendlinger. And he's hoping for a better season after a number of retirements from once again last season. Next is Tyrrell Yamaha and the lineup of Yuko Katayama and Finnish Mika Salo. There's also talks of former touring car driver of Gabriele Tarquini, who will be joining the team later on in the season as a substitute driver. Next up is Footwork Hart, but also known as Arrows, with Hart Power and the FA16 with a Hart 830 engine. They're hoping for a better result after finishing 9th in the Constructors' Championship from last season. With the Italian driver of Gianni Morbidelli and Japanese Taki Inoue, and possible interesting pairing along with Italian driver Massimiliano Papis. Let's see if this British team can hope for better results and getting more further up to competing with the other midfield teams. Next up is Minardi Ford with the M195 with Ford Cosworth ED engines and with 2,994 cubic centimetres capacity. The lineup of Pierluigi Martini is also, and being an Italian team, it is a duo with him and his fellow Italian teammate Luca Badoa. But also, as of recently, Portuguese Pedro Lamy, after recently driving for Lotus last season, he is hoping to have a better season, with of course the Italian team. Next are Pacific Ford that made their debut last season in the Pacific PR20, and the drivers that are also taking part in driving for this year's championship are Frenchman Bertrand Gachot, who you might remember did actually race with the team with Illamore engines from last season, but this time he is joined by Italian Andrea Montemini. And unbelievably, after a short-lived run from last season, also the Swiss driver of Jean-Denis Delatraz, after racing with Larousse last season, will also make an appearance. And also newcomer from Italy, Giovanni Lavaggi, are all making to see what they can do in the midway pack of this year's season. Next up, we have one of the brand new teams of 1995, and that's the Italian 40 Course Ford with the FG01 car, with Ford Cosworth engines and with 2,994 cubic centimetres in capacity. They, of course, are once again new to the championship and hoping to prove that they will do well this season with the Brazilian duo of both Pedro Diniz and Roberto Moreno. And finally, we have the British Simtech team Ford team, and with the S951 with Ford Cosworth ED engines, and after finishing 13th in the Constructors' Championship last season, they're hoping for a better season with Italian driver Mimo Sciattarella and Dutchman Jos Verstappen. And that's all of the 35 drivers and teams, 13 teams, that are all taking part in this year's championship. Now let's have a look at all 17 rounds of this year's 1995 reimagined FIA Formula 1 World Championship. First of all, we'll have our first race at the José Carlos Pace in Interlagos, São Paulo, Brazil. And then, due to an unfortunate earthquake that happened earlier on that year, the race at the TI Circuit Aida in Japan for the Pacific Grand Prix has now been rescheduled, not until later on this year in the month of October. Shortly after that, we're staying in South America again for round 2 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, at the Oscar Alfredo Galvez track for the second round of the season. Then we're heading back to Europe for round 3 of the championship at the Autódromo Enzo Edino Ferrari in Imola, San Marino. And as you can see on the track map, the track has been heavily edited and also changed following the unfortunate passing of both Roland Ratzenberger in the qualifying session and Ayrton Senna in the race from last season. Catalunya in Spain, in Barcelona, is round number 4. Round 5 is the jewel in the crown, that being at the Circuit de Monaco in Monte Carlo. Round 6 heads to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. Then shortly after that, we're back in Europe for the French Grand Prix at the Circuit de Manicourt in France. Then it's back to the home race for the British fans as we return back to Silverstone for the 9th round of the championship in, once again, Great Britain. Round 10, we head back to the very long and speedy Hockenheim circuit in Germany for the German Grand Prix. Then round 11 is at the Hungaroring at the very technical country of Hungary, and that being in the capital city of Budapest. Round 12 is at the picturesque Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix. Round 13, we then head to the fast Circuit di Monza and the home of the Italian Grand Prix, where Ferrari are hoping to have another home win after many years since the passing of the former owner of the team itself, of Enzo Ferrari. Round 14, we then head to the Circuito de Estoril in Portugal for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Round 14 of the championship will be the only time we have a European round at the Nürburgring, also in Germany. Round 15, as we mentioned, the TI Circuit Aida in Japan will host the second Pacific Grand Prix in its entirety, and it's in first and second time on the 1995 F1 Grand Prix calendar. Round 16, we stay in Japan, but to the more popular Suzuka circuit for the penultimate round of the championship. And then finally, we head back to the same track after where Nigel Mansell in the Williams from last year managed to win at the very familiar technical Adelaide Street Circuit in Australia as the 17th and final round of this reimagined 1995 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. So there you go, everybody. Once again, that was the official driver and team lineup for 1995, and as we now can quickly also show you here, as we've now just changed our of course computer screen, as we now actually got an official of course camera showing the start of the official 1995 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. And once again, as to clarify, the Autódromo José Carlos Pace in Interlagos, São Paulo, Brazil, will be the opening round of the 17-round championship in this reimagining of the season. And I have heard that the conditions as of currently, as we can see there, are looking relatively overcast, but no rain is expected. Even there could be the chance of rain for qualifying, but for the race happening in a few days' time, we can also do let you know that the race will be dry, and we look forward to 71 laps of the official race distance on this track. And we do remember that there was quite the dramatic start to last year's race here, especially with another quite dangerous crash that happened with Jordan's Rubens Barrichello, who once again retained his seat alongside Irish driver of Eddie Irvine. And also, but it was an incredible race from what we saw from last year. And it's going to be very interesting to see if after the controversial end, as we said earlier on, from last year's season, let's hope that the year of 1995 will hopefully get off to a good start, and hopefully without too many problems for most of the not just the front runners, but also may that, of course, even though with the arrival of the brand new teams such as 40 Ford, and also with Simtech there as well, and also Pacific Ford being the new name now for Lotus, that dropped out from the end of last year due to financial issues. And but we have heard that, as I said before, with Simtech, they've been facing quite a load of challenges, especially for the start of this season. And they are under threat of possibly facing bankruptcy, but we'll have more on that, of course, in our opening episode of the series. And once again, you can join us in a few days' time, exclusively live here on Jackpot Button Lewis Sport Productions, as we'll be having the 1995 reimagined Ford Grand Prix, Brazilian Grand Prix, here from the Autódromo José Carlos Pace in Interlagos, São Paulo, Brazil. We start coverage from midnight, and I know that it is going to be a late one, so I hope that you've got enough energy to stay up for the whole race, but we will hopefully keep you in good company. And I hope that you won't send you to sleep, even though that the times between this race over in Brazil as well as here in the UK, hopefully that won't affect our coverage for all you viewers watching. Well, with that being said, even though it may seem quite a very short episode, this particular pre-season preview episode of Grand Prix Formula 1, but we most certainly we look forward to bringing you this exciting reimagined 1995 Formula 1 season, and we will be following all the way for you once every step of the way. And I hope that we will put on a good, of course, bit of viewing for all of you that come to watch the series. This has been, like I said, something in preparation that we have had since last year. And even though we are in the year of 1995, in the, once again, Jackpot Button Lewis Sport Productions universe, it's a great way to also mark the 30th anniversary of this particular season, and not to mention the 30-year anniversary of the game, which of course is inspired us immensely to do this series for all of you. and we hope that we'll put on a great show for all of you viewers watching. So, but with that being said, thanks very much for watching this once again pre-season preview episode once again of Grand Prix Formula 1, and in a few days time once again we'll be live from the Autódromo José Carlos Pace in Interlagos, São Paulo, Brazil for the opening round of the reimagined 1995 FIA Formula 1 World Championship once again within a few days. Until then, from me, Jack Wright, thanks very much for watching, and as always, until next time, au revoir, adios, au wiedersehen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the first round of the 1995 season in once again a few days, all exclusively here from Jackpot Buttonua Sport Productions, and once again exclusively live here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.